What are the issues that drive you most personally, the policy issues that really get your juices flowing?
I'd have to say education and housing. And housing has really crept up. I know in all of our minds is education. That's always the #1 issue throughout the state and trying to do things for education. But housing has just started dominating my thoughts.
Why?
In South Florida, the average cost of a house in Broward County is $270,000. 270. So you know your firefighter and teacher can't afford a house in Broward anymore. Our heroes that are out there, our police officers, cannot afford a house in Broward, and that's just ridiculous. And so I've been watching a lot of bills, and as a Democratic caucus, we've been really fighting for housing from South Florida to North Florida in the Panhandle. I mean, we got people that houses were destroyed, and so finding a way to get more dollars in for affordable housing and help people get a house, get out of apartments, to actually own a plot of land, has really been the passion last couple of sessions for me.
Well, your colleagues selected you as their leader of the House Democrats. I know that means a lot to you, but in your own words, would you just give us a job description of the Democratic leader of the Florida House of Representatives?
Herding cats.
Okay, that's hard to do.
It's hard to herd the Democratic caucus. Mostly make sure our issues are still out front and work heavily with the Speaker of the House. Alan Benson and I enjoy a tremendous relationship. We've been friends. I count him as one of my friends since we've come into the legislature. So it's mostly working with leadership, making sure that Democratic ideas and bills and initiatives are heard, and being a good mediator. Case in point, we had a certain committee where the chair wasn't hearing Democratic bills and was very hostile towards Democrats. So I had to work with the Speaker and work with the majority leader and kind of get to yes on that. And then today, 4 bills were heard, in that committee, because working with the Speaker and really just putting out fires a lot of places and making sure Democrats' voices are heard and make sure their issues are heard.
All right, but this is a little different now because you referred to the Speaker, Alan Benson, yes, Republican from Panama City, as your friend, and that is not exactly what we've been hearing coming out of either the state capitol or the nation's capital, this word friend between Democrats and Republicans. And I mean, it's gotten kind of testy, but you're really seeming to mean that.
Yeah, I mean, Alan and I will disagree on some issues, and we have disagreed through the years on issues. But I think both of us have that mentality, especially after the last 2 years. Florida was done a disservice with all the acrimony throughout Tallahassee. Yet Republicans and Democrats fighting, yet Republicans and Republicans fighting. I mean, you get bad laws that way. And Alan and I are from the school of thought that, we can disagree but not be disagreeable. And next week, well, later this week when we do the budget, we're going to be very disagreeable. I mean, we're going to put some amendments on the floor that's going to cause some ideological splits. But then at the end of the day, I'll probably go hang out in his office. We'll talk about our kids and talk about next week's agenda and just do that. And Florida's better off that way.
All right, let me ask you this question. Let's reverse it a little bit. Let's suppose the votes were majority Democrat in the House and Chris Smith was Speaker.
Oh, what a glorious day that would be.
How would Chris Smith, as Speaker, be different from Alan Benson in terms of priorities?
I think I'd put a big focus on education. I think I'd make it. Alan has a unique job. He's trying to right the ship. I think we came in through so much turmoil the last couple of years. It's hard for him to really put an issue out there. He's more of righting the ship and making sure that we're back to working as a house.
In terms of process.
Yes, in terms of process. I think because I just dominate so much with education. I think we've done a disservice to the state. Some of the policies that have come out of Tallahassee, we've micromanaged and everything. I think as Speaker, I'd put just a bill out there to really help education, help on the local level, put the dollars in there and really help in class size, help with the teachers' salaries, and help, let teachers teach.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, issues. Let's go right down the line for the 2005 session, because I know that there are some very big issues on the table that will be debated. Let's start with the budget, because that is the only bill that the legislature has to pass, and I think the total of the budget this year will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $61–62 billion. First of all, what are the Democratic priorities for funding in this budget?
We want to fund class size, and we want to fund teachers. We want to make sure the governor's opened it up and said teachers are underpaid, and we want to make sure without his constitutional amendment that he's trying to get, we can do it with this budget to pay teachers a good salary, to make sure we go towards what our constituents told us to get class size down. We want to make sure within the Medicaid budget and the healthcare budget that we keep services for people, that no matter what, even if he tries to reform Medicaid, that we keep a good floor of services for people in the state of Florida. I think from dental and vision and the medically needy, to make sure that the dollars are in there for that.